It's something we probably all grapple with, right? How do you really know if you've achieved what you set out to do?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even trickier, how do you avoid kidding yourself or, others along the way?
Yeah, fundamental questions, and they're definitely not just modern ones.
Exactly. People have wrestled with this stuff for ages. So today, we're doing a fascinating deep dive into an ancient text, the Sunakkhattasuttaṃ, to explore exactly that.
Right. And our deep dive begins in a place called Vesali. This is where the Buddha, often called Bhagavan, was staying at the time.
Okay.
And the whole core of this text, really, it spins around a very, very pointed question from this man, Sunakkhatta Licchaviputta.
Right. And to sort of set the scene, you've got these monks, bhikkhus, and many of them have been declaring quite publicly their spiritual attainment.
Big claims.
Yeah, big claims like
Yeah.
birth exhausted, holy life lived, what needed doing is done, there's no more of this world for me. Really definitive statements. But Sunakkhatta, he hears this, and he's clearly got some doubts. He's not so sure. And the question he puts to the Buddha, it feels, well, surprisingly modern, doesn't it?
It really does. He basically asks the Buddha straight up, look, did these monks truly achieve what they're claiming?
Okay.
Or, this is the kicker, did some just declare it out of, well, conceit? The Pali word is adhimana.
Conceit. So that immediately flags this key theme for us, doesn't it? The huge difference between like genuine insight and just self-deception.
Precisely. It's
Yeah.
central. And notice the Buddha's answer. It's not a simple yes or no.
Right. I noticed that. Why do you think that is? What's the implication there?
Well, it's significant because he essentially says, yes, some did declare it correctly. They were genuine. But indeed, some did declare it out of conceit.
Okay, so he acknowledges both possibilities.
Exactly. And he even adds a little warning, mentioning that some foolish persons, Magapuri says, sometimes ask questions just to push their own agenda, which can actually get in the way of real teaching.
Interesting. So it's not just about the answer, but the intention behind the question, too.
Absolutely. And this leads him to deliver this profound call for a much deeper kind of understanding. That's really what the rest of the sutta unfolds.
Okay, so where does he start? If he's going to explain true liberation, what's the groundwork?
Well, before diving into what liberation is, he first clarifies what binds us. He introduces what he calls the 5 strands of sensual pleasure, the panyeka kamagun.
The 5 strands. Okay, what are they?
They are forms that you see with the eye, sounds you hear with the ear, odors you smell with the nose, tastes with the tongue, and touches, physical sensations, cognizable by the body.
Okay, so the 5 senses, basically. But are they just like neutral experiences, or is there more to it?
No, not neutral at all in this context. They're specifically described as agreeable, pleasant, gratifying, lovely, and crucially, connected with sensual desire, inciting passion.
Got it. So they're inherently attractive, potentially addictive even. They can hook the mind.
Exactly. They're the bait, as the text puts it. The allure that keeps us circling back.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, then the Buddha moves on to explain different types of people based on their core inclinations, their adamuto, you called it.
Yes, adamuto. It's like your fundamental disposition, your leaning, your preference. It shapes what kind of talks you're drawn to, what kind of mental states feel comfortable or engaging.
Right. So understanding these different leanings helps us see why some people click with certain ideas and others just don't.
Precisely. It explains our different attractions and repulsions on a deeper level.
Okay, so the first type he describes is the worldly bait inclined, the Lokamisarimuto. What's their deal?
Well, these are individuals who naturally gravitate towards conversations and thoughts all about that worldly bait we just talked about.
So things tied to the 5 senses, pleasure, possessions, status, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They find real pleasure discussing these things, and they tend to actively avoid or just aren't interested in talk about immovable states of detachment.
Yeah. Okay. And there's that analogy, right? The person away from their village.
Yes, a really vivid one. Imagine someone who's been away from their home village for ages. They meet someone who's just come from there, and they eagerly hang on every word. Is it safe? Is everyone okay? Are things going well?
I see. They just soak it all up.
That's exactly how the worldly bait-inclined person is towards worldly talk. It feels like news from home, from their familiar reality.
So the insight here is maybe that even what we think of as just curiosity can be a kind of craving, wanting to hear things that confirm our world.
That's a great way to put it. Drawn to confirmation, not necessarily transformation.
Okay. Then there's the next type, The immovable inclined. Nejomuto. What does immovable mean here?
Immovable refers to states beyond those worldly attachments. So these individuals are inclined towards those states. They find pleasure in discussions about detachment, concentration, things beyond the senses. And worldly talk, they tend to disregard it.
And the image for this one?
A powerful one. A dried leaf that's fallen off its stalk. It simply cannot become green again. It's done.
Wow.
For this person, the fetters of worldly bait, lokamisa sanyudanya, are severed. They're genuinely disconnected from that pole.
Okay, that's a clear step up in detachment. What's next? The nothingness sphere inclined. Akinikanye yatanari muto. That sounds even more abstract.
It is. It refers to a specific meditative attainment, the sphere of nothingness. So individuals with this inclination are drawn to that. Discussions about it resonate. But talk about the merely immovable states we just mentioned. They now ignore that.
So each stage kind of transcends the previous one's focus.
Exactly. And the analogy here is a solid rock that's been broken in two. It just cannot be rejoined.
It's permanently fractured.
Right. For this person, the fetters of the immovable anina sanyajani are broken. They've moved beyond that level of attachment too.
Okay, it gets subtler still. The neither perception nor non-perception sphere inclined. What on earth is that inclination about?
Yes, it's a very subtle meditative state. The highest before nibbana itself in the schema. People inclined here find pleasure discussing the sphere, and they now disregard talk about the sphere of nothingness.
And the analogy for this? Is it as final as the others?
It's different, quite visceral, actually. Imagine someone who ate some delicious food, but then maybe they got sick, and now they find the thought of it utterly disgusting.
Okay.
Would they ever want to eat it again, even if it was once appealing?
Definitely not.
No. So for this person, the fetters of the sphere of nothingness, akinikanya tanasenojane, are metaphorically vomited up. There's a complete repulsion, a turning away.
Wow, vomited up. That's
that-
strong language. Okay, so finally, the ultimate state. The right nibbana inclined, samanibbana nimuko. This is the goal.
This is the goal. Individuals here are inclined solely towards right nibbana, unbinding, liberation. Only discussions related to that hold any pleasure or interest. They completely disregard all those previous subtle states, nothingness, neither perception nor non-perception, all of it.
And the analogy for this final state?
It's perhaps the most final. A palm tree whose crown, the growing point, has been completely cut off.
So it can't grow back.
It cannot sprout again, ever. For this person, the fetters of the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception, are utterly cut off, uprooted, made like a palm stump, brought to non-existence, not liable to arise in the future.
Completely gone, irreversible.
That's the idea. True, irreversible liberation.
Okay, that whole progression of inclinations, from worldly bait right up to nibbana, that's incredibly insightful. So the Buddha lays out what binds us, then these stages of letting go. How does this loop back to Sunakkhatta's original worry about, genuine versus fake attainment?
Right. This is where the teaching gets really sharp, directly addressing that concern. The Buddha paints a picture of the danger involved. He describes a monk who claims to be rightly inclined to nibbana, claims the dart of craving is abandoned, the poison of ignorance removed. Big claims again. But this monk still indulges in things that are unsuitable, asapayani, for someone in that state.
Okay, and what counts as unsuitable here? Is it just actions or thoughts too?
It's broad. Engaging with unsuitable forms, sounds, smells, tastes, physical contacts, and yes, even unsuitable thoughts. Basically anything that would reignite those 5 strands of sensual pleasure we started with.
Got it. And the consequence if someone claims liberation but still does these unsuitable things?
It's dire. The text says, passion rago would corrupt their mind. And this leads either to death, marana, or suffering equivalent to death, marana mata vaduka.
Death or suffering equivalent to death. That sounds serious. And this is where he brings in that famous analogy, isn't it? The person shot with the arrow.
Exactly. A really powerful, detailed analogy. A person shot with an arrow, not just any arrow, but one that's poisoned and deeply smeared with that poison.
Ouch. Okay.
So, scenario 1. Friends rush in, they bring a surgeon. The surgeon works skillfully, removes the arrowhead, cleans out the poison, and declares, okay, the arrow's out, poison's removed, no danger left from that.
Right. Sounds good so far.
But then the surgeon gives very clear aftercare instructions, crucial instructions. Eat only suitable foods. Avoid unsuitable ones because they could cause the wound to fester or produce pus.
Makes sense.
Regularly wash the wound, anoint it so blood and pus don't build up. Avoid exposing it to wind and sun, which could bring in dust and infection. And above all, guard the wound carefully. Protect it.
Okay, very practical advice. But what if the patient doesn't listen?
That's the point of scenario 1.
Hmm.
If the patient disregards this advice, eats the wrong things, doesn't clean the wound, exposes it, what happens?
It gets infected, it festers.
Precisely. It festers, gets worse, and ultimately leads to their death, or at least severe suffering equivalent to death because of their own negligence after the arrow was removed.
So what does this death or suffering equivalent to death mean in the spiritual life, according to the Buddha? It's not literal death, right?
No, not literal physical death. In the context of the monk's discipline, this death means abandoning the training entirely, just giving up, falling back to a lower state.
Okay, quitting the path.
Right. And the suffering equivalent to death refers to falling into a serious, defiling offense, something that fundamentally compromises their spiritual integrity and progress.
Wow. So it's a really stark warning. It's not enough to have some initial insight or breakthrough, like getting the arrow out. If you don't follow the aftercare, if your actions don't align, you can still end up worse off.
Exactly. It highlights the danger of hypocrisy or even just carelessness after claiming some kind of attainment. You have to live the healing.
That really resonates. You know, you think about people who have some kind of big realization, maybe overcome an addiction or change their lives. But if they don't maintain the practices, the vigilance.
They can relapse. The wound can reopen. It's the same principle.
Right. But there's a positive side, too. The path of true liberation.
Yes, absolutely. That's scenario 2 of the analogy. Same person, same poisoned arrow, same successful surgery.
Okay.
But this time, the patient meticulously follows the surgeon's advice. Eats the right food, avoids the wrong food, keeps the wound clean, protects it from the elements, guards it carefully.
And the result?
The wound heals cleanly, completely. It scars over, becomes just a memory, and the person suffers neither death nor that suffering equivalent to death. They recover fully.
Ah, okay. So that shows the vital importance of that consistent action, the discipline, aligning with your claimed inner state. It's the follow-through that solidifies the healing.
Precisely. It's not just the declaration, it's the diligent practice that embodies the liberation.
So the analogy is powerful on its own, but then the Buddha actually breaks down the metaphor, right? He decodes it for us.
He does. And this is where it gets really fascinating, seeing how carefully he maps each element of the story onto a core spiritual concept.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does each piece represent?
All right. So the wound itself, the van, that represents the 6 internal sense bases.
Our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The gateways for experience.
Exactly. They're where the injury of attachment occurs. Then the poison, the visidosa smeared on the arrow. That's ignorance, avijja, the fundamental misunderstanding of reality.
Okay, ignorance is the poison. What's the arrow itself?
The arrow, sala, is craving, tana. That relentless thirst, the desire, the wanting, that's what pierces us.
Right. So craving, fueled by ignorance, wounds us via our senses. Makes sense. What about the tools the surgeon uses?
The probe, isani, used to find and explore the wound. That's mindfulness. Sati, careful attention.
Okay, mindfulness probes the wound. And the scalpel.
The scalpel, sata, that cuts away the unhealthy tissue and helps remove the arrow. That's noble wisdom. Aryapanya, the insight that cuts through delusion.
Wow. Mindfulness and wisdom is the surgical tools. And the surgeon.
The surgeon himself, the Pisako Salakatu, that's the Tathaka, the Buddha, the Arahant, the fully awakened one, the one who knows how to perform the operation.
That's incredibly elegant. Each piece fits perfectly. So what's the massive implication of this whole decoded metaphor for someone claiming liberation?
Well, the implication is profound. A bhikkhu, a practitioner, who is genuinely restrained in those 6 senses, the wound, who truly understands that attachment is the root of suffering, has applied the scalpel of wisdom, and is therefore truly without attachment liberated.
Yeah.
That person simply would not then deliberately apply their body towards things that cause attachment or allow their mind to generate thoughts rooted in attachment. It's not a matter of willpower anymore. The text says quite definitively this is not possible.
Not possible. So like a truly healed person just wouldn't deliberately reinfect the wound.
Pretty much. Their understanding is so deep, their transformation so complete, that engaging in the causes of suffering again is simply inconceivable. The alignment between inner state and outer action is total. There's no gap, no hypocrisy.
Okay, That really clarifies the difference between just saying the poison is gone and knowing it's gone because you wouldn't dream of touching it again.
Exactly. And to really hammer this home, the Buddha offers two more quick, powerful analogies, just to reinforce this idea that a truly wise person avoids harm no matter how tempting it looks.
Right. The final ones, what are they?
First, the poisoned drink. Imagine a beautiful cup filled with a drink that looks wonderful, smells fantastic, tastes delicious.
That was good.
But it's mixed with a deadly poison. Now, would a person who wants to live, who doesn't want to die, knowingly drink it?
Of course not, no matter how good it looked or smelled.
Exactly. The appeal is irrelevant once you know the inherent danger. That's the first one.
Okay, clear enough. And the second one?
The venomous snake. Think of a snake known to be highly venomous, lethal. Would a person who values their life, who wants to avoid death or agony, willingly stick out their hand or finger to be bitten?
Definitely not. You'd recoil instantly.
Right. Again, the answer is a clear no. The potential harm completely overrides any other consideration.
So bringing it all together, these last two analogies, they just underline that main point, don't they?
They really do. They reiterate that someone who has genuinely, deeply understood that attachment is the root of suffering, someone who is truly liberated or rightly inclined towards it, simply wouldn't engage with the things, the thoughts, the sense objects that they know lead back to suffering. It's like refusing the poison drink or avoiding the venomous snake. Their actions naturally follow from their deep understanding.
So if we step back and think about this whole deep dive, the Sunakkhatta Sutta isn't just some obscure text about ancient monks, is it?
Not at all. I think it offers a really timeless, practical framework for looking at our own declarations. The goals we set for ourselves, the values we say we hold, the personal transformations we believe we've made or are trying to make.
Yeah, it forces you to ask, are my inner claims, my beliefs about myself, actually matched by my outward actions, my day-to-day choices?
Exactly. Am I perhaps unconsciously indulging in unsuitable things, habits, thoughts, media, whatever, that actually contradict the person I claim or aspire to be? Or am I diligently guarding my mind and senses, like that patient carefully tending the wound?
It definitely raises a challenging question for you, the listener, thinking about your own life.
Yeah.
What declarations have you made about who you are, what you value, what you've overcome or achieved? And then how do these analogies, the poisoned arrow needing aftercare, the tempting but poisoned drink, the deadly snake, how do they maybe shed light on the importance of truly living by those deeper understandings day in and day out rather than just, having made the declaration?
Yeah, it's about the integrity between the claim and the conduct. Something important for all of us to mull over, I think, as we navigate our own paths towards knowledge and hopefully greater self-awareness.
Well, thank you for joining us on this really insightful deep dive today.